I've just finished putting together my new table saw. Thought I might give it a try, and I thought you might want to come along for the ride. There is going to be a new turning video tomorrow, of course, on Thursday. But today I thought you might want to take a look at this thing with me. I'm just about to run some wood through it for the very first time. I think we'll go do that down at the shop. So let's get moving. And one of the coolest things about this table saw, and something I wanted, is the ability to fold it up. So you've just got this lever down here. You just push that down, lift up, and the whole saw is ready to roll. Now I know that not everyone is familiar with table saws. Maybe we should go over some of the basics. This is a wood turning channel after all, and you don't see me using the table saw much. This is the main saw body here. This is where you can lower and raise the blade, tilt the blade up to 45 degrees, on and off switch. The stand, of course. Miter gauge. It's called a miter gauge because you can tilt this up to 60 degrees in this case. Unusual. Most of them go to 45. And that's what you use to push your wood through the blade with. You've got the fence, sliding fence. In this case, the table is 28.5 inches wide by 22.5 inches deep. Very respectable. Very large table for a portable table saw. But this has another cool feature I want to show you. By loosening two knobs under this table, it extends almost another foot, giving you almost 40 inches width for the table. I haven't seen another one like that, but maybe there's plenty of them out there, I don't know. But that's a really nice feature. This is a 10-inch table saw, meaning the saw blade is 10 inches in diameter. It comes with a 40-tooth carbide on it, and it has a large 15-amp motor. 15 amps, that's about a horse and a half. Very impressive. I have run this thing, and when I turned it on for the first time, I jumped. It just comes right to attention. There's no messing around. So let's see what that sounds like. Pretty amazing. It even has a brake built in, so the blade stops quickly. It has a magnetic switch. So if the power goes off while you're in the middle of a cut and then the power comes back on, the blade will not spin, the motor will not run until you push that green button again. That's a great safety feature. So I guess that's most of the basics. I didn't cover the saw blade guard because I have to be honest, I don't know a woodworker that uses the saw blade guard. They just don't. Why not? Because it's in the way. You can't see your cut. You can't see your cut line, your pencil line that you might have made for where you want to cut. I'll show you what I mean. So you have your workpiece. You've measured over where you want to cut. You mark your line. You take it up here to the saw. You line it up about where you think it should go. And then you push it up there. Where'd the line go? You can't see the line. So could you lift it up and line it up and then put it back down? I guess you could. I'm not going to. I don't know anybody that would. It's just a colossal waste of time. The best safety guard is your brain. Don't get your fingers close to the blade. You'll be good to go. So the guard's got to go. It does, however, have this riving knife, which is a nice addition. What that does is when you're making your cut through here, it keeps the wood from closing up on the blade at the back end of the cut, keeps it from binding. That's a wonderful thing. To be honest, I've never used a saw that had one. I bought one for my Delta Unisaw. I think I installed it. I've never used it, but I'm glad this one has it. So let's make our very first cut. I've chosen a 2x4 because that's probably one of the most common woods that you would cut with a portable table saw while you're out at the work site. First of all, I want to lower the blade so it's not sticking up so much. This is my first cut on this saw. Not bad. Smooth as can be. No effort. I didn't hear the blade slow down at all. Yeah, big deal, Phil. Any saw can cut a softwood 2x4. Well, that's probably true. Let's try a 2-inch thick piece of white oak. See how that does. And this is a full 2-inch thick. That's what we call 8/4. Smooth like butter, easy peasy. What about a rip cut? Yeah, let's try that. Now here's where we'll get into one of the shortcomings of this saw. I'm not so sure it's not just this saw. I think it's probably a lot of portables. This fence slides pretty easily, usually. But then, if you look here at this miter slot and you lock down the fence, you see how it's even back here and it's not up there? Not even close up there. It's off by more than 1/8 of an inch. So what I've found I can do, of course, this is only lining it up with the miter slot. This isn't lining it up with where I want to cut the wood. But if I apply a little pressure back here, just a little pressure, and then move this over, and then lock the fence in place, now it's lined up. But how do you do that where you want to cut your wood? Let's say that I have a line on here. I don't, but let's say I do. And now the fence gets a little more difficult to slide. I wish the fence was a little thicker. It's only about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. I wish it was 1.5 inches thick. Give it more bearing on the fence rails. So how would I go about that? Well, okay, let's say, you know, a 2x4 is 3.5 inches. Let's make it, I don't know, 3 1/4 inches. So I'm going to measure my distance here using my tape measure, finding a tooth that points towards the fence. And now I have to come back here. Well, now I can't measure again because this is in the way. I can't measure the back side of the blade. I can come up here close and I can see that it needs to come this way some, about 1/16 of an inch. Now I've got to measure it again, see if I moved it enough. Nope. Move it a little bit more. Measure again. Lock it down. Okay, I think that's a 3 1/4. So we're only going to cut 1/4 inch off of here. Well, let's see how it handles this rip. Now this has a pretty good sized knot right here. Maybe I'll cut that first. This is where this should come in real handy. Well, it didn't really even slow down for that knot. And it's a nice smooth cut. Let's see if we got our 3 1/4. 3 1/4, 3 3/16. Now that's probably close enough for construction work, building a wall, building a floor. It's not close enough for the kind of work I like to do, finish carpentry or building jewelry boxes or something like that. But it's good enough for hauling around to some of my outbuildings or down to the gazebo or somewhere like that around the property to do, you know, outdoor type construction, not indoor final finish stuff. Let's try a miter cut. Now this does have a gauge on it here. It tells you all the degrees that you can tilt to, up to, like I said, up to 60 degrees. Okay, that's about as close to 45 as we can get. And the miter gauge does indicate 45 degrees. Let's see what we can do with a piece of finished material. This is a piece of some sort of trim. I don't know what you might use this for, baseboard maybe. I'm not sure where I even got it from. Can you imagine trying this with that blade guard on here? Not a chance. Well, that's good. So you can get the miter gauge to do what you want. It just takes a little fooling around. How about a piece of plywood? This is a 3/4 inch birch plywood. Let's see how it does with that. See if we get a nice smooth cut. Nice smooth cut, and it didn't tear up the veneer. That's a good thing. See if I got what I wanted. I wanted 8 3/4. I used the scale on the saw itself. 8 3/4. 8 3/4. All right, can't argue with that. One feature I really like is the ability to coil the cord up right here on the saw. So when you're rolling it around, you're not dragging it all over the place, having it get underfoot. And then something else that's going to be pretty cool, we'll roll it right over here. Good as new. We'll talk about a couple more shortcomings. You can see a storage slot here. You see another one over here. There's also one you can't see up here under the table. Nothing fits any of those. Nothing fits the miter gauge. Nothing fits the fence. Nothing fits the push stick. It comes with this push stick. It doesn't fit. So you're going to have to carry these separately when you move it from place to place. Well, you can leave this locked on here. So they need to do a little bit more work on that. The pointer on this miter gauge seems to be right on the money. It's adjustable if it's not on the money, but it seems to be right on the money. As does the pointer for the blade tilt. I didn't show you that. If you loosen this knob and then push this in, you can adjust the blade. You see the blade up there? So you can tilt the blade up to 45 degrees, and then when this pops back out, it goes back up to raising and lowering the blade rather than tilting it. So that's a nice feature. The miter gauge is bigger than some. It has a T slot, so the miter gauge can't fall out of there. You could bring it out here a little bit further if you needed a little extra support in front of the blade, if you had a wider board. We haven't talked about the stand. I love it now that it's assembled. It took me 3 hours and I got it wrong. And it took me an hour the next day to get it right. The instructions are terrible. The pictures are terrible. I actually had to go online and find a picture of this machine and study the exact position of different pieces to figure out where they go. I love this table saw size. The table itself, very large for something like this. I love the power. 15 amps, 1.5. I didn't have any trouble cutting anything we cut today. I can't see myself cutting much bigger than anything we cut today, or much different than anything we cut today. So this meets all my needs. I like that it's about, I don't know, 55 pounds, I think, now that it's assembled, out of the box assembled, about 55 pounds. So it's easy to roll around. I was surprised how easy it rolls on my gravel driveway and uneven surfaces. It didn't even slow it down. So that was real nice. I like that the stand locks in place so it's not going to fold up on you while you're using it. So there's a lot to like about this. I'll tell you that I contacted the manufacturer, who happens to be Vevor, and said, you know, I want to do a review on this, but it's not going to be a positive review. She said, that's okay. That's okay. You just tell it like it is. I thought that was pretty admirable of them. So I'm telling you like it is. Do I recommend it? I do. If you need a portable table saw, getting around your property or throwing in the back of a truck and taking out to the construction site somewhere, I think this will do the trick. You know, you're going to have to spend a little extra time doing setup, but once you get it set up, it seems to be quite accurate. Certainly powerful enough. I like it. There's not much not to like. It's just a setup. This, well, mostly just a fence. This is okay. Yeah, this is okay. Mostly just a fence. This seemed to work really well, and if you don't want it there, it's just a matter of a wrench, taking one nut loose, pull it out of there if you don't want it. You can use it on everything except non-through cuts. You can't use it on a dado. Any through cuts, it seems to really do the job quite well. I'll put a link down in the description. I did talk to them about a discount, and there's a discount code if you want to take a look at this thing and get a discount. It's also sold without the stand if you just want to set it on a table or a workbench or something. Without the stand, I think it's about $100, $80 to $100 less, and then the discount code. So take a look if you want. It'll be down in the description. So I hope this was informative and semi fun for you. It was kind of fun for me. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's video. All I can say is warning, warning, danger. That's what tomorrow's video is about, and I'm glad I'm here to tell you about it. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.